Today's review, we're heading to Cheltenham, so it must be Deya. And this is a brand new beer from them called All Must Go, an IPA. But what's it going to be like? Keep watching to find out. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. Today we're heading, as I said, to Deya and a brand new beer from them called All Must Go. It's a 6.6% IPA. We have Citra, we have Simcoe, and we have L'Oreal. An interesting selection of hops. It says here oats and spelt for chew, Citra and Simcoe for mango, stone fruit and pine, and L'Oreal for an orangey floral top note. That's giving us a pretty big description in terms of what we expect. A normal sort of Deya can with the old crock on the front. I must admit that I think Deya have, dropped the ball a little bit. I've not had anything really great from them for a while. They haven't seemed to release as many as they used to. And even the last couple of beers I've seen them released, one's called Sunshine, one's called Better Days. Both of those beers I had when I was at the tap room in 2021. That was 2 years ago. So they're obviously re-releasing those and not really coming up with much new stuff. So, but I've got a little bit of a soft spot for Deya. You know, they were a brewery that I'd been to the tap room and a really enjoyable day there. The beer I always thought was really good. One of my favourite breweries at the time. But they just don't seem to release as much. And the ones that they do release just don't quite seem to hit the highs of some of the great beers like Into the Haze, Meet Me in the City. They've done loads of, if you look at my reviews, they've done loads of good beers, and that's why they were right at the top, in the top three of my breweries. But the likes of Asvez and Sure Shot, obviously Polly's are still smashing it out of the park. Verdant, there's lots. Beak is another one there. They seem to have sort of do better now than Deya, but maybe this one is one that's going to bring them their crown back. So let's crack it open, get it in my Deya glass that somehow has still survived all this time since I've had it, where a lot of my other glasses are gone. Yeah, it's looking a little bit like it's losing some of the lettering of it, so I probably are in need of a new one. Let's crack it open and get it in this glass. As usual with Deya, 500ml cans, always a good thing. So let's see if we can relive some of the magic. I don't know what it was, what it is about them, why it's changed so much. But anyway, this beer in a glass, bright orange coloured, not quite the custard, more the sort of orange mango coloured. I'm already getting lots of orange aroma coming through. So let's get diving in really close and see what it smells like. Yeah, I mean, orange is a big dominant sort of aroma. You got a bit of mango, you got passion fruit in there. It's much on those sort of orangey on the orangey scale. I'm not getting much in the way of sort of grapefruit. I'm not getting much in the way of like lemons and limes, those sort of citrus fruits. But let's tuck in. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, it's very dominant with an orange flavour. That L'Oreal, which gives that orangey sort of almost flowery sort of flavour, is definitely big in this. And there's mango in there. Passion fruit is sort of trying to come through as well. But they're flavours that are very sort of, there's a similar sort of flavour between orange, passion fruit, and mango. They're quite similar, so they sort of slip in. I'm not getting anything in terms of grapefruit. I'm getting a little bit of that floral sort of flavour as well. A little bit of pine. As with Deya of past and present, let's face it, the mouthfeel is really good. It's smooth, it's creamy. It has a sort of, it's light in its body, but it's so soft. It really elevates the beer a much higher. Flavours wise though, it's just a little bit, it doesn't really go anywhere. I think that's more the nature of the hops. As I say, you straight away when you taste it, you think, wow, big hits of orange, big orangey passion fruit flavours. And you're thinking, well, is there anything more? Goes a little bit piney. There's a little earthiness coming in from the Simcoe. But you wouldn't necessarily know there was Citra in this. It doesn't, the flavours aren't bright. They're almost on the verge of being sort of like the orange rind, the sort of bitter sort of flavours are coming in, but it just holds itself back from getting that West Coast orange bitterness that's very common in those sort of beers. Again, as I say, the start that elevates this beer is just the way it feels in your mouth. I mean, that sounds a bit rude, to be honest, but it's got a really velvety, creamy, soft mouthfeel that, to be honest, it's unlike any other breweries make beer with this sort of mouthfeel. That's where Deya really sort of, I think, elevated them up. The problem, I think, with this beer is just, for me, the hops don't quite work. They're all a little muddled. It's very sort of one note in terms of the flavour profile. There's no sort of, I'm not really, as soon as you taste it, that's the taste that sort of stays in your mouth. You're not really getting any sort of development of flavour on the taste buds. Expect to get something like a bit more sharpness from grapefruit, or a little bit more zest from lemons and limes, but you're not getting that. You get orange and passion fruit and mango. They're all sort of muddled together. Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed, but if you sort of like those flavours, then it's a very good beer because as I said, that it's got a velvety, smooth, soft mouthfeel that really elevates this beer to a higher level than it would do if it didn't have that sort of mouthfeel. It's difficult to describe it. It's just the flavours, you know. I mean, this beer had sort of probably less of the laurel and just kept with Citra and Simcoe, or maybe added something like a New Zealand hop. It would really elevate this beer and make it like much nicer. But the orange, the rind, the sort of that slight bitter pininess is coming in, and it's not exactly the flavour that you get, that sort of dryness as well on the back end that sort of just sticks around a bit too long. Really, it's not bad, but I've definitely had better from Deya. And to me, you know, they still haven't got pushed back into my top 3 or even maybe my top 5 of breweries. Again, I think it's probably just the choice of hops that's just not quite worked for me. But still, they know how to make beer with they get the right oats and the spelt and all that sort of stuff in there to get that soft, creamy, velvety signature mouthfeel. Yeah, I still really like that. So let's get some scores. Okay, the scores are in for All Must Go by Deya. It's a 6.6% IPA with Citra, Simcoe and L'Oreal, which is pretty much the dominant hop in this beer. It's okay. It's got a great mouthfeel. It's got a really smooth, velvety, creamy mouthfeel, which really sort of elevates it. But the hops are a little bit muddled for me. But let's go through the scores, starting with aroma. Appearance, flavour, value for money. This was £5.50, I think it was, but it is a 500ml can. And finally, my overall experience. Total scores up, we get a total score recommended of. Yeah, it's a good beer. It's not up there with some of the best Deya beers. It's not up there with a lot of the great beers that we've had recently on the channel. Deya is just still not quite doing it. The beer itself, in terms of the mouthfeel, the softness, and I'll go on about it a lot, but it's a signature thing for Deya. You know, I don't think any other brewery can. When Deya get their mouthfeel right, like this has, no other brewery can get close. Either it be the top ones like Verdant and Polly's, no one can quite get the mouthfeel sort of balance that they can get here at Deya. What it doesn't make this beer great is the fact that I think all the hops together are a little muddled, and we're getting just too much orange and slight bitterness, piney, bit of passion fruit, but it's all very muddled, orangey sort of flavours, and I want something more bright. I think if they had different hops in this, brewed in the same way but slightly different hops, it would have made this, it would have gone into that highly recommended level. So it's not bad. It's a good beer, but it's just not great. And for Deya's standards, it's not quite there. But as I say, if you like passion fruit, if you like orange, you like those sort of flavours in your IPAs, then you'll probably really like it. But let me know in the comments what you think about Deya. Have you had some great beers by Deya? They did all those great double IPAs we've had on the channel. Ones that I didn't review, but I've had saturated in Nelson and saturated in Citra. They were double IPAs, and they were really great beers. A couple of other doubles that, if you look at the channel, I can't remember the names. The Straits of Jodhpur, I think, was Swimming the Straits of Jodhpur. That was one that was a double IPA that was really good as well. IPAs are their strong point, and double IPAs. Pale ales, I always find them a bit lacking, really. But for me, I just think that they need to start launching and releasing a few more new beers, getting some new hops, using some of these new like the new Southern Hemisphere, the Eclipses, the Nectarons, those sort of hops. Just get something different about it. It just needs. They seem like they're still trying to hold on to how good they were 2 years or so ago. They haven't really moved on from that, when there's lots of other breweries that have come into the market and are really smashing it. But that's enough for me for today. Let me know in the comments about Deya. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts, because at one point everyone was reviewing Deya, but you very rarely see a Deya review, and they're just not about as much. So let me know in the comments what you think of Deya. And until the next one, you know what you got to do. You got to drink good craft beer, and you got to keep on rocking.